Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into one of history's most iconic tales of courage, faith, and the surprising power of the underdog. The story of David and Goliath. It's a narrative that is echoed through millennia, inspiring countless people to face their own giants. But how much do we really know about the historical context and the profound details of this legendary showdown? Let's go beyond the Sunday school version and explore the full story. Our story begins around 3,000 years ago in the ancient land of Israel. The newly formed kingdom, under its first monarch, King Saul, was in a precarious position. Their primary adversaries were the Philistines, a powerful and technologically advanced people who occupied the coastal plains. The Philistines were known for their military prowess and their mastery of iron weaponry, which gave them a significant edge over the Israelites, who were still largely in the Bronze Age. Tensions were constantly high, and skirmishes were common. At the time of our story, the situation had escalated into a full-blown military standoff in the Valley of Elah, a strategic piece of land southwest of Jerusalem. The two armies were camped on opposite hills, with the valley floor serving as a tense, empty no man's land. For 40 days, a chilling routine unfolded. Every morning and every evening, a colossal figure emerged from the Philistine camp. This was Goliath of Gath. The biblical text describes him in intimidating detail. He was a giant, standing over 9 feet tall, a true behemoth of a man. He was decked out in heavy bronze armor from head to toe, a helmet, a coat of mail weighing over 100 pounds, and shin guard. His spear was like a weaver's beam, with an iron point that alone weighed 15 pounds. A shield-bearer even walked before him. Goliath's presence wasn't just about physical intimidation. It was psychological warfare. He would stride into the valley and bellow out a challenge, a practice known as single combat, which was common in ancient warfare. He taunted the Israelite army, defying them to send out a champion to fight him one-on-one. The deal was simple. The winner side would enslave the losers. But faced with this seemingly invincible warrior, the Israelite soldiers, including King Saul himself, were paralyzed with fear. No one dared to step forward. The army's morale was plummeting with each passing day. Now, let's introduce our hero, David. And he's not what you'd expect. David was the youngest of 8 sons of a man named Jesse from Bethlehem. While his older brothers were serving in King Saul's army, David was back home, tending his father's sheep. This detail is crucial. Being a shepherd wasn't a passive job. It meant protecting the flock from predators like lions and bears, a task that required immense bravery, agility, and skill. David was likely strong, quick on his feet, and incredibly proficient with his primary tool, the sling. A sling in the hands of an expert was not a child's toy. It was a deadly long-range weapon, capable of launching a stone at over 60 miles per hour with pinpoint accuracy. One day, David's father sends him to the battlefront, not to fight, but to deliver supplies to his brothers and bring back news. When David arrives at the camp, he hears Goliath's defiant shouts and is shocked. But his reaction isn't fear. It's righteous indignation. He can't believe that this uncircumcised Philistine, as he calls him, is being allowed to defy the armies of the living God. David starts asking the soldiers, what will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? His words are bold, and they quickly reach the ears of King Saul. David is brought before the king. Imagine the scene. The young, rustic shepherd boy standing before the tall, anxious monarch. David, full of confidence, volunteers to fight Goliath. Saul is skeptical, to say the least. He looks at David and says, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David has a powerful comeback. He recounts his experiences as a shepherd, telling Saul how he fought and killed both a lion and a bear to protect his sheep. Argis, the Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. David's faith is unshakable. He doesn't see the battle as a contest of his strength against Goliath's, but as a contest of God's power against a challenger. Convinced by David's conviction, or perhaps out of sheer desperation, Saul agrees. He tries to equip David with his own royal armor bronze helmet and a coat of mail, but David, unfamiliar with the heavy, cumbersome gear, can barely move. He takes it off, saying, "I cannot go in these, because I am not used to them." This is a pivotal moment. David rejects the conventional tools of warfare, choosing instead to rely on his own skills and his own faith. He chooses to be himself. So, armed with nothing but his shepherd's staff, his sling, and a pouch, David heads down to the stream in the valley. There, he carefully selects 5 smooth stones, not just any rocks, but specific, well-formed projectiles for his sling. He then walks out onto the valley floor to face his opponent. When Goliath sees this young boy approaching him with a stick, he's insulted. He roars, "Am I a dog, that you come to me with sticks?" He curses David by his gods and promises to feed his flesh to the birds and the wild animals. Goliath sees a shepherd. He doesn't see the heart of a warrior. David's response is one of the most powerful declarations of faith in literature. A salutes Bach. "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." David reframes the entire conflict. It's not about him. It's about God's honor. The confrontation begins. As Goliath moves in for the kill, David sprints towards the battle line to meet him. In a fluid, practiced motion, he reaches into his bag, takes out a stone, places it in his sling, and whips it with all his might. The stone flies through the air and strikes Goliath squarely on the forehead, the one vulnerable spot in his armor. The stone sinks into his forehead, and the giant stumbles and falls face down on the ground. The battle is over in an instant. But David isn't done. He runs to the fallen giant, who has no sword of his own, takes Goliath's massive sword, and uses it to end his life, securing the victory. When the Philistine army sees their champion defeated, their confidence shatters. They panic, turn, and flee. The Israelites, their fear replaced by a surge of courage, let out a mighty war cry and pursue them, routing their enemy completely. David's single act of faith and bravery turned the tide of the entire war. The story of David and Goliath is so much more than a simple underdog story. It's a lesson about courage, not as the absence of fear, but as acting in spite of it. It's about faith, trusting in a power greater than yourself when the odds seem impossible. And it's a powerful reminder that the sources of our strength often come from unexpected places. David's advantage wasn't brute force. It was his agility, his unique skill with the sling, and his unwavering belief. He didn't try to be a traditional soldier. He leveraged what made him different. This ancient story teaches us that the giants in our own lives, whether they're personal challenges, difficult circumstances, or overwhelming obstacles, can be faced. It encourages us to look past the intimidating exterior and to find our own smooth stones, the unique skills, talents, and beliefs that we can use to overcome them. It's about perspective, seeing challenges not as insurmountable barriers, but as opportunities to demonstrate courage and faith. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. I hope you found this deeper dive into the story of David and Goliath as fascinating as I do. What are your thoughts on this incredible story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration into history's greatest stories. Until next time, stay curious.